I'm Alexander John, the Business Development Director at Vvaleti MSPL. Vvaleti is an enterprise management company that partners with European clients interested in entering the Asian markets. Our collaborative model involves setting up local operations, sales and marketing for our clients. We decided to bring eluzzion CRM to India because of the tremendous long-term potential of the software. Our selection criteria involves partners who have strong, established, reliable products which are specialized and in emerging markets. For us, eluzzion was far superior to anything available in the market currently, and it was something which we wanted to make sure we didn't miss out on. This, coupled with the initial interactions which we had with the team, convinced us of their sustained intention to develop the product and to adapt it for the Indian market. The Indian market is primarily different because of the large size of its population and its internal market, but also primarily because of the large amount of domestic players who are entering the global marketplace. We also have globally competitive CRM, R&D companies in India at this point in time. However, for foreign companies entering India, there's a lot of difference in terms of the cultural differences and the complexities of the local market. We believe that a European software such as eluzzion CRM will succeed in India, even though India is famous for its outsourced softwares, because primarily most of the CRM softwares aimed at the pharmaceutical sector right now are from local companies which are not very reliable and are not competitive by global standards. Even though this will give us an advantage in the initial phases, how far we go in the long term will depend upon the level of customization that we do for the local market. Till now, a lot of the domestic requirements were met by local domestic companies, but unfortunately these companies did not evolve into large or medium-sized companies. So you have a highly fragmented marketplace where you have small operations where they develop the software and they sell the software, but because they do not have the scale or the scope, they are not able to go ahead and deliver the same amount of value or quality which a multinational company such as eluzzion, such as Data3 is able to deliver. While the market reports go ahead and paint an accurate picture about the growth of the Indian market, they neglect to go ahead and mention the ground realities in India and the problems that face companies which go ahead and invest over there. Especially for companies, European companies or American companies which come from a more organized Western environment, the problems of corruption, negative business practices, and other business threats are usually a large enough deterrent to go ahead and put a brake on their investment in the region. Domestic companies, especially let's say small and medium-sized companies, are better equipped to deal with the Indian local scenarios than let's say their counterparts from the Western hemisphere. But for large companies, it wouldn't make so much of a difference because they would acquire the local talent and they have a global presence and they're already familiar with this kind of operations in many other emerging companies. There have been a few big ticket mergers and buyouts which happened in India in the recent few years, but a major reason why there has been a slowdown in this part is mainly because the domestic companies have gone ahead and put a premium on their pricing, and there are a lot of companies which are not willing to sell out, but those companies which are looking at being acquired, they have a high premium on their price right now, which is again slowing down the M&A space. The main thing to understand is that unlike in a lot of countries like Russia or Brazil, India does not have a cohesive national identity. It's a plethora of different cultures put together. So when you move from north to south or you move from east to west, you have different buying patterns, you have different cultural influences which go ahead and affect people's buying decisions. And this is an incredibly complex environment for marketing and sales. So for new companies which are coming in without adequate local knowledge or local support, it can often be a nightmare. Right now, the selling model in India is different from what is in the Western Hemisphere, but you're seeing a change, a slight shift towards how it is being done in the West. And primarily the reason why this happens is because India is opening up its markets to both foreign companies coming in, and also its management is being more open towards Western management practices, management and selling practices. It is regulated. It is a more regulated market, especially in terms of pricing and in terms of the availability of drugs. My primary advice to foreign companies who would be interested in entering India would be that it is the most important thing for them would be to go ahead and work with local partners, either by hiring them or by partnering with somebody on the ground, because there is a whole set of complex issues such as bureaucracy and dealing with the government and corruption, which they will not be geared to handle unless they go ahead and have local partners. Generally, when you talk about hiring Salesforce in India, the Salesforce are reliable, but the obvious difference would be that the Indian work ethos is different from the, let's say, the American work ethos or the European work ethos, right? Having said that, hiring skilled workers in India is not so much of a problem, although you are still plagued by high attrition levels. The easiest way to go ahead and describe it would be to go ahead and explain the concept of time, which is different for, let's say, a German company as opposed to an Indian company. For a German company, a deadline would be something which is relatively non-flexible, whereas for an Indian sales executive, a deadline would be something which is negotiable. In India, employees expect companies to go ahead and give them a certain amount of leeway when it comes to personal matters. For example, if they are expected to go ahead and work overtime, they would generally do that. But when they have certain personal considerations, they would expect the company to go ahead and give them that kind of a leeway. For example, if you can't come in today morning because you have to take your child to the hospital, or you need to run a personal errand, that would be understood and accepted. India is booming and it's on a very good growth curve at this point in time, and it would be great for foreign companies to come in and be a part of that growth story. But as expected, you would have to be more careful about how you're doing business over there, simply because you need to go ahead and be aware of the local practices so that you don't go ahead and trip up and fall.